I see that everyone has a nice lunch. Good that you're all here. Can everyone on the stream hear me too? Okay, that's nice. Yeah, very welcome to you all. I hope you're enjoying your lunch. Today is the first day of our lunch lectures, and we're going to talk about high expectations that you might experience from society around you, family, university, work, and all that stuff. And therefore, we have invited a guest speaker. His name is Maarten van Gestel. He has studied applied science in Eindhoven here, and now he works at ASML. During his student time, he became a Christian, and next to his work at ASML, he has also been a speaker at a church. And today he will give a lunch lecture to all of you. So, Maarten, the floor is yours.
So welcome. Thank you for taking your lunchtime to have a free lunch, but you also have to listen to me today. Isn't that a great song? The Hall of Fame. I think most of you know it. Anybody not seen that video before? It's quite new. Like Lisa said, I'm Maarten. I studied applied physics here at the university and applied mathematics. So anybody else physics? Yes, very good. Math? Faux. Very good. I currently work for ASML. If you have not heard of ASML, you should watch the news. It might be good for your career later on to know what that company does. And for the last 10 years, I've also pastored a church in Eindhoven. And my goal today, and tomorrow actually, so do come back tomorrow, is to challenge you about important subjects in the hope that you're interested in exploring them further. That's my goal. I'm not here as a pastor trying to convince you that Christianity is true or to make sure that you become a Christian today. That's beyond my power, and that's really not what we want to do today. We want to talk about important topics. So, the title today is Bound by Expectations. Can you keep up with them? And that's actually not an open question, that's a closed question. How many people think they can keep up with their own or their family's expectations? Why? Anybody that's not doesn't have a sandwich in their mouth want to comment a bit, maybe? Why? You have to know too much. Yes? Anybody else? How about your own expectations that you have of yourself? Can you keep up with your own expectations? No, I don't think you can. So that's my talk. No. I want to talk about three things today. I want to show you some research that has been done among students on expectations and performance. I want to show you that your expectations of yourself are totally unrealistic and not reasonable. We're at a university, we can reason, we can talk. And finally, of course, I want to show you a Christian alternative to think about that I think is more sustainable for your life. So three things. First, there's some research. Oh, this is your, by the way, I found this graph. I thought it was funny. Your expectations, reality. Some people have high, some people have low. If you have low expectations, you can always exceed. Yeah. This is the research done. It's in Dutch, because it's done in the Netherlands. If you look at the time, 2018 to 2022, more people are experiencing performance pressure than ever. 4 out of 5 students, and it's getting worse. So it was about 50%, it's 4 out of 5. What I find very interesting, and I have no idea why, is that women experience much more performance pressure even than men. This is not healthy stress. I mean, before I walked into this room, I felt a little bit of stress. I'm talking to a lot of students here today. That's normal. That's okay. But this is about performance pressure, an unhealthy pressure, causing yourself by the perception that you need to live up to the expectations of others or yourself. Where does that come from? Because these years in school, university are supposed to be your best years ever. right? Enjoy the student life. You have absolutely no responsibilities, says an old guy like me. This is supposed to be the greatest time of your life. And then, why? Why all this pressure? Now, I think part of the problem is your generation. And to be honest, I don't envy you guys. You guys, statistically, are all Generation Z. You are more depressed than any other generation before you. You're more stressed than any other generation before you. You guys were born with a phone in your hand taking a selfie. I'm blurring out your mother from the background. You're surrounded by social media. You constantly take pictures of yourself, videos. You show the world every day how great your life is. And yes, one of my daughters has this thing called Be Real, or what is it called? But it's not real, because she puts on this fake smile. It's not real. You've been told since childhood that you're special. And the lie that was in that video, that you can be in the Hall of Fame, and the world's going to know your name. Now, I don't want to show statistics here, but the world is not going to know everybody's name in this room. I can put a bet on that. And you know that. You know that you cannot be whoever you want to be, but you still have to live up to it. Because failing is not an option. How will you succeed? You guys put the bar for life so high, comparing your life with others, you can't win. Because there's always somebody smarter in the room, there's always somebody funnier in the room, there's always somebody better looking in the room, and there's always another event where you're not at, even better and greater than where you're at right now. You have so many choices, and you can only be in one place at a time, and you suffer from something that nobody else has suffered before from. FOMO, the fear of missing out. And fear cripples you. Last year, I was at a beach in France with my family, and we were enjoying a wonderful sunset. And it was beautiful. Sun in France, in the west coast, it goes straight into the sea. It's really, really nice. Actually, the sun doesn't go into the sea, the earth rotates, but that's okay. But at that moment, a friend sends this picture. What does that do to my experience on the beach? Now, suddenly, my experience on the beach becomes somehow less of what it was before. How crazy is that? And for you guys, your expectations of yourself, not just wishes, and not just a bucket list, things that you'd like to do, or a goal to aim for, but your expectations become part of your identity. A performance-based identity in which you will continually try to show the world that you value, that you matter, and that you're someone with a capital S. And where you base your self-worth on what you achieve, not on who you are. And that's where it goes wrong, I think. So let me give you 3 reasons why, not 13 reasons why, because I don't have the time, 3 reasons why your expectations for life are not reasonable. And the first one is this. Your expectations that you're trying to keep up with will rob you of any happiness the moment you achieve them. If you achieve them, you always want more. They're insatiable. They will never be fulfilled. It's never enough. Gandhi says, Earth provides enough to satisfy everyone's needs, but not everyone's greed. And your expectations and your desires are very greedy. If you finish college, and I hope all of you will, you think, I got the diploma. You want a job. If you have a job, you want more money. If you have a lot of money, you want even a higher paid job. You want a family. It never ends. It never ends. It's a trap. And trust me, I'm in that golden cage at ASML. I'm locked there. I make quite some money, but there's always people around me who make more. And there's always a function I can aspire to be. There's always a next step. And there's a lot of people around me envying those above them. Don't join them. And the more famous you are, and the more successful you become, the more likely you are going to suffer from mental problems, from depression, and the more likely you are to commit suicide. We all know this. We all know famous people who stepped out of their life. And it's interesting because I always think, Once I become a millionaire, once I win the lotto, once I become famous, I will be different. But you're not. We're not. We're not the exception to the rule. There's a lady, I hope you know her. She's a long time ago. She doesn't look like this anymore. It's Madonna. And Madonna, at the height of her career, she was the queen of pop. At the top of her career, she said this, and I think this is very interesting. My drive in life comes from a fear of being mediocre. This is the queen of pop. It's always pushing me. I push past one spell of it and discover myself as a special human being for a moment, but then I feel I'm still mediocre and uninteresting unless I do something else. Because even though I have become somebody, I still have to prove that I still am someone. My struggle has never ended, and I guess it never will. This is one of the most successful singers of all time, and I think she's being very honest here. She discovers that her sense of who she is, her identity, is so wrapped up in how she performs, it is never fulfilled, no matter how successful she is. It's a black hole. It's a black hole. Do you believe this? Do you believe that once you're successful, that you would say something like this? Or do you think that if you're successful, that you will do it completely different, that you'll be all right? Any comment? It's very quiet here. This leads to a second problem. Okay. I'll let it sink in then. Yeah. I also don't believe, I'm preaching to myself here today as well. I'm in that same cage at ASML. I'm in the same universe as you guys live in. I always think, hey, if I just had a little more, I'll be happier, life will be easier, but it never is. It never is. And I have a lot more than I had when I was your age. And there's a problem then. Because it's never enough, you get a second problem. It leads to two things. If you achieve what you want to achieve temporarily, you can become very proud. Look what I achieved. But if you don't achieve what you want to achieve, and you compare it with others who have achieved something, you can become depressed. Look, I work so hard, but I'm not in the Hall of Fame. Life is hard, I don't deserve it. My parents told me I could be anything I wanted to be, but now I finally realize that I cannot. Because what does failure tell you of who you are? How your parents look at you? What will your friends say if they see you fail? What is your life worth if you fail? Some people think that because they fail at something, that they're not worth much, that no one loves them. And we often identify our performance with who we are. Nobody likes me, instead of nobody likes what I just did. And the other way around, if you do succeed, you become proud because look, it's all because of your own hard work. Look at me, I'm successful. Look at me, look at what I did. I attained all the goals of my life. I have an Instagram channel, I have a YouTube channel. I'm an influencer. Look at me, how great I am. I earned this. And I don't know if you've ever been around people who have earned their way up. They're usually not great people to hang around with. Very proud, they look down on you. They have a lot of difficulty relating to somebody who's not as successful as they are. And my third point, and this is going to be the big one for your sandwich, the problem with your expectations of yourself is that they are temporary and therefore meaningless. What do I mean by that? A couple things. You can accomplish whatever you want. There's people in the Netherlands that have accomplished amazing things, and one picture comes out. One wrong sentence comes out, and they're cancelled, it's gone. And even in the bigger picture, even if you have very good things that you want to achieve, accomplishments, in the grand scheme of things, whatever you accomplish now is meaningless in the whole world. Can anybody tell me what their great-grandfather's name is? Jan, very good. What did Jan do? He was a farmer, wow. Great-grandfather, eh? Not your grandfather. Great. Anybody else? Also, yeah, that's easy, yeah, because everybody's name was Jan in 100 years ago in Holland. Very good. Most of you don't know, me included, the names of your great-grandparents. I've heard that your DNA, after 400 years, you can't even trace it back anymore to your great-grandfather. And in the big picture of the universe, whatever you accomplish, however great you'll become, is going to end. And they have a picture of this here, right? When the Earth crashes into the sun, everything is meaningless. It doesn't matter then whether you were Mother Teresa, whether you were President of the United States, or whether you were Adolf Hitler, because it's gone. Nobody will have there's nobody around anymore to have a memory of you. How depressing is that?
Yeah, but then humanity will be multi-planetary because that's like
Ah, I hope so.
let's hope so.
Yes. If Putin doesn't wipe us out earlier, huh? Okay. Now, I don't know what you guys are expecting, and maybe just a free sandwich. And I don't want to ruin your sandwich today, but I think this is really important stuff to think about. And I wish I had thought a lot more about this in my days at the university. I'm here today because I think the culture that we're in, your culture at the university, maybe the culture you're coming from, is not helping you in any way to be the person you're meant to be. It puts so much pressure on you to perform better than your friends, and thereby setting you up against each other. And having expectations, setting expectations and goals is great, right? You need to do this. You will never be successful if you don't have goals. If you want to be the astronaut, you can be the astronaut, right? Or a surgeon, go for it. But don't think ever that you're just an astronaut. You're so much more. Don't let your goals define you, who you are, because if you do and you fail, you will find yourself, you'll think that you're a failure yourself. Now the alternative, because I only had 5 more minutes. No, I have 10 more minutes, good. What is the alternative? And I think you're going to expect me here to come up with a religious answer. But the problem with religion is even worse. It's even worse. Because religion is often also a performance-based identity. Do this, do that, these 10 rules, these 20 commandments, these 5 pillars, whatever. I don't know what your background is. There's a lot of religious pressure on a lot of people in the world. Read your holy book. Pray every day, right? Obey these rules, whatever they are. Behave in a good manner so God will like you. Or whatever almighty power is happy with you. That's maybe even more crushing. And some of you know that because you come from a very religious background. Because you know, and that's why it's crushing, you can't obey all the rules. You can't meet all the expectations. And deep inside you know this. And you try to deny it maybe you flee away from it. And not only then do you have a problem with yourself, you now have a problem with some almighty being. Religion is not the answer. So my last couple of minutes here, let me explain to you quickly why I became so excited about Christianity while I was at university here. I discovered a couple of things, a lot of things, but I can only share a couple now, that I never understood before. The first thing I discovered, that in Christianity, the image of God is that of a father. A father. I'm a father now. I have 5 kids. So that image of a father really resonates with me more today even than it did back then. But also back then I had a father, so I could relate to that image. And yes, I have expectations of my kids. They don't like it, but I expect them to clean up the dog, clean up their room. I expect them to help me do some chores around the house. And it's good to have expectations. If I don't have any expectations of my kids, that will be bad. But suppose I would go up to one of my kids and say, hey, Ava, one of my kids, hey, Ava, if you, okay. Hey, Google. Hey, Siri. No, that's not my kid. Hey, Ava. If you do your chores, if you're nice to your brother, if you clean up your room and you do this list of things that I want you to do, then I will love you. Then I will be your father. What will be that? That will be horrible. That will be child abuse. A father's love is not conditional on the chores the child does. Never is. I don't love my kids for what they do. I wouldn't love them very much, I think, if I would only love them for what they did. I love them for who they are. The teenagers now, it's getting worse. When they were kids, they would still do a little bit, but now it's really gone. But what they do is not their identity. It's not who they are. God is a father. The second thing, and this is totally what makes Christianity unique, and I want you guys to think about this. It's actually a person. It's Jesus. He lived here on earth. You may have heard of him. He comes from the Father. He's the Son of God to the world, fulfilling all the expectations of the Father. But there's one big thing. He doesn't do it for himself. He does it for us. Like a big brother doing the chores of his little brother. How crazy is that? And he does more, a lot more. He takes up all your frustration, all your anger, all your pain, all the times you've been left alone, all the times you did not meet up with your expectations, all the times you failed. And he took them with him on his cross. So that when we stand before God as a father, he looks at us and all expectations are fulfilled. And there's no anger, no pain, no frustration. How crazy does that sound? That means that I don't have to perform to be somebody. I can be Maarten. It means that I'm more than a physicist. I'm more than an employee at ASML. I'm Maarten, eternally beloved by God. A child of him. Not because I did anything. Not because I have my whole act cleaned up. Not because I met somebody's expectations. But because Jesus did. And from that identity, I can perform. And I can be relaxed about it. No pressure on me. There's a guy called Tim Keller. If you have never read anything by Tim Keller, go to the bookshop. Read any of his books. Doesn't matter. Pick one off. Doesn't matter. All of them are good. He says this. Do you realize that only in the gospel of Jesus you get the verdict before the performance? So what does he say? You know you're okay before you do anything. Regardless of what you do, what you've done, or will do. That's crazy. There's no religion that works like that. It all works the other way around. First you do, then you get the verdict that you're okay or not. There's no expectations of your culture that says that you're okay before you do anything. It's unique. And that results for me in happy, humble confidence. I can stand here. I can be happy because why? I'm known. I'm loved. I have value, regardless of what I do today. I can fail today at ASML. I can have a horrible lunch lecture here today. You guys can go out and say, this guy looks crazy, but I'm still Maarten. And I'm okay. God loves me. I can be happy. It makes me humble, because I didn't earn it myself. Hey, if I earned it myself, I could become proud. I didn't even deserve it, to be honest. If you look at what I've done in my life, the faults I have, how many people I've wanted to kill in my life, right? I don't deserve this. God came in his goodness to make me part of his family. How great is that? And it gives me confidence because if I fail, and I do, at work, I was on the soccer field Saturday refereeing a game. Now, depending on what set of parents you talk to, I was a really bad referee. Both sides, by the way, so that's okay. But it's not the end of the world because it's not my identity. I'm not Maarten the physicist. I'm not Maarten the employee of ASML. I'm Maarten. God still loves me. God still cares for me. God holds me, regardless of what happens in my life. And FOMO, there's an eternity waiting for me. Eternity. You know, if this is 80 years, eternity is a little bit further, right? If I miss out on something now, I'll catch up. So much time. I won't miss out on anything. And I wish the same for you. I wish the same for you. I want to end with an invitation, and maybe we can have a little discussion. Yeah, I think we still have a couple minutes for that. An invitation from Jesus, which I hope will trigger you to explore the claims that I've made today a bit further. By looking at what he says about himself. He says this, an invitation. Come to me, Jesus says. Come to Jesus. All of you who are weary and burdened. 4 out of 5 students are weary and burdened. And he promised you, I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you. It's a little bit ancient language. Learn from me, for I am gentle, I'm humble at heart, and you will find rest. That's my wish for you today. I hope you will find rest instead of anxiety and pressure. I hope you come back tomorrow. I'll be talking about identity a bit further. And yeah, let's have some time for Q&A. Did any questions come in? Not yet. Oh, they were so eating their sandwich. You want to clap, eh? I had heard something funny last time I was here. They told me that only seals clap. And students say "vo," or they knock the table. I don't know. Something new. Anybody there? Yeah.
Yeah. So in the first part, you were talking about how the pressure culture only leads to getting up to high positions while feeling like you should perform that, otherwise you're worthless.
Yeah.
And like only that being the driving force. Well, at least that's what I distilled from it. But is that also not a bit deceiving in a sense? And like there would seem to be people that manage to get up to really high places in the world that don't have that burden.
Yeah, and you talk to them like Madonna, and they feel the burden. I think a lot of people, so people do achieve stuff. But if I look around at ASML, at my work, around me, why are people performing? Because they want to prove that they're somebody. If they get a burnout, even if they go, even if they reach 65 and they have their pension, they have like an identity crisis. Because they're so connected, their identity is so connected to what they do, that if they fail, if they get a bad rating, and we have a performance review every year. It's crazy, I don't know why. Every year, you go to your boss and he says, oh, you are successful, or you are almost successful, or you're very successful. A lot of people, if they get the almost successful, they break down. Maybe not there, but later at home. Because their performance at work is so coupled to their identity that they can't separate the two. And yes, you could couple it to something else. You could couple your performance identity to your marriage, or to I'm loved because I have this person, so whatever happens at work doesn't matter anymore. But then you have to perform there. And people will disappoint. I'll talk about that tomorrow as well. And I would say, talk to the people that are very successful. Try to talk to them, and see how relaxed they are, and how easy they are in letting stuff go. Yeah. It's very quiet. Any more questions? If not, I'm going to be around for another half hour downstairs. Have a little chat one-on-one if you want. If you have some questions about why I'm here and what happened at university, I can tell you. Yeah, and then tomorrow we talk about bound by your identity, how your identity is formed. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much for being here and for your talk.
You want this, yeah?
Yes, I want that. Yes, this is not the only activity that we have this week and that we have today. So tonight we are going to play Mario Kart games at the Dommelstraat 6. You can come by between 8 and 10, and then it's called Challenging Your Expectations. So yeah, join the challenge and see if you can play Mario Kart very well. Then Also tomorrow we have activities. We have a lunch lecture again with Maarten, so he will be here talking about bound by your identity, and we have a debating night. All the other information can also be found on our Instagram page or in the flyers that you have maybe received. Then, if you have still some questions left, you can join us in Hubble. We're going to have coffee with those who are interested. Speak to one of the persons with a Passion Week sweater on. You can find them in this room, and they will happily have a coffee with you. So, yeah. Also, there are there's some other possibilities to have a chat afterwards if you then can't come to the coffee. If you have college or something, then also speak to us, and then we can invite you for other occasions. We have an evaluation form, and we would very much like you to fill those in, because we can use that information to further improve our activities. You can find it at bit.ly/pw evaluation. So we'd be very happy if you fill in that evaluation form. For now, I will thank you for your attention. There are also some cards with questions on your table if you want to talk about this lunch lecture with your fellow colleagues. Thank you all for your attention.